What's up, everybody? Welcome to another stream here at CMECP program. My name is Paul Abernathy. Uh, Thanks for everybody for joining me tonight to have a quick introduction into the CMECP program. Um, for those that don't know who I am, my name is Paul Abernathy. I am the CEO and founder of Electrical Code Academy Incorporated, but I'm also the originator of the CMECP program and the concepts behind the CMECP program. So, what I wanted to do was come to you and do an introduction of our program, what it's all about, and kind of give you some insight on why it was created, what void it's being designed to fill, what our plans are for the future with the program, and a little bit of the history of the program so you get a better understanding of where we came from. And I want to be good stewards of your time. So I did block out for an hour, but it's not going to take an hour to go through this. Obviously, you can always get more information on our program from our website over at cmecp.org. That's going to be the location where you'll be able to get all the information on it. David, I do see your question, and I think the easiest way to answer that is within the next day or so, you're going to see what's called our equivalency requirements. So, master electricians or equivalent, you're going to see that. It exists on our older website, but it has not migrated over to the new one, but it should be in the next couple days, and it will detail what the equivalency means. And so I think that will answer your question. So we should be streaming on multiple platforms, and this will be rebroadcast again for those that may miss it. So we do encourage you to subscribe to the various platforms that we have, whether it's our Facebook, YouTube, or what have you, LinkedIn, all those type of platforms, Twitch, Twitter. We stream on those all the time, and moving forward, we'll have dedicated broadcasts specifically to the CMECP program. All right. So without further ado, I kind of wanted to go on and get into that a little bit and start giving you the presentation. Again, I want to be good stewards of your time. I realize that this is 7 p.m. here in Texas, that it is 8 p.m. on the East Coast, and still quite early yet on the West Coast. But again, I do want to be good stewards of your time. So we'll kind of get into it, and then we'll have a Q&A session we'll try to answer at the end. Okay, so I'm going to kind of go through it, and this might be hard for folks to see depending on what platform you're looking on, whether you're watching from your phone or you're on a desktop or whatever you may be watching this on. So I want to make sure that, and I can see your questions, and I will do my best to try to address them. If it's something that's going to be addressed on the website, like David's question, I would more steer you towards the website because that's something that's going to be clarified through our board of directors. So rather than me say it and it not be 100%, I want to make sure that everything you see will be on the website. So it'll be all the information necessary for you to be able to understand a little bit more about that. All right. So a lot of people ask, how was the concept for the CMECP project, how was that born, and what's the need? But the real issue is, why did I come up with it? Now, there are people out there that will say that, Paul, you came up with it to sell courses. Well, I'm going to show you how that's not correct. But we wanted to go back to the origin of why I came up with the concept. So first things first, a little story is that there's absolutely nothing in the electrical industry for master electricians to differentiate themselves from the gateway entry into the profession at that level. In other words, every master electrician, whether you know anything about them, whether you know their background, whether or not they can pull cable or bend conduit better than anybody versus Johnny versus Jimmy, when you look at the licensing, it all is the same. So there was no differentiator. And so back in 2016, one of my thoughts that kept bouncing around in my head was, how do we distinguish a master electrician, a truly noble profession? I think I'm biased, of course, but I think master electricians really are the cream of the crop. There's so many things that we have to understand, from the technical aspect to it and the physical aspect of it. I like to tell people I've got cuts on my hands still from working in the trade, living and learning. But at the end of the day, there was nothing in order to differentiate you from the masses. Now, the other thing that started bothering me progressively, and I just did a brief, about a month and a half or 2 months, social experiment on social media. It sure does bother me that other people don't take the trade as, or as proud of their trade, or take it as seriously as others. And I get it. Some of us have to blow off steam and relax. And I know that I get people say, Paul, you must be great at parties. The reality is I know how to have fun too. But when I'm working and I'm thinking about my profession, this is my livelihood. Same as a lawyer in a courtroom, same as a doctor that's in a doctor's office. I wanted to elevate this profession to mean what it is, to carry the weight and understand that this is one amazing profession that we're all blessed to be a part of. So when I sat down and thought of that, I was like, what's the benchmark? If Johnny goes and gets his master license, and of course you could be in a state like Ohio, right, that doesn't have master licenses, but has a electrical contractor's license, that's an example of an equivalency. And they just don't have a master's license. But what differentiates them? So that's what I started to think about in the process. So the birth in 2016, I started writing down all of my thoughts. I keep a ledger by my bed. I know this is not a novel thought for other people, but I'm always thinking of ideas. So I always used to carry a notepad by my bed. I still have one leather bound. Now more or less I tap it into the phone. But anytime I have an idea, a thought, some way that I want to promote, and I'm the first to say this, I don't always, I sometimes will say things that offend people, but I'm a realist. I say what I feel. And sometimes it gets me in trouble, sometimes it doesn't. So at the end of the day, the goal was, what are we going to do to elevate the master electrician, or the equivalent for those states that don't have master licensing, for example? How do we elevate that? So in 2016, the concept was create an association that aspires to give master electricians who endeavor to excel beyond the licensing threshold, thus expanding their opportunity to obtain additional knowledge, to stand out among the sea of equivalent licensees who desire to maintain the status quo. What does that mean to me? Well, what that means to me is that there are many people, and God bless them, we need them, that are simply just satisfied with obtaining their licensure. The interesting thing about licensing, which has a legal context to it, is that is the gateway into it. So when you become a master electrician, it certainly doesn't mean you have 30 years of experience. It doesn't mean that you know it all. But when you get that master's license, it gives you the right to do things like pull permits, but it also brings a lot of liability to you. And when I go over the TikToks, the Instagrams, and some of the Facebook stuff that I see, I start wondering about the profession and where are we trying to hold ourselves in that profession. So that's what got me started in the concepts of the CMECP program. Now, the mission and vision. Now, I told you, I promise you, I'm not going to keep you long tonight because I'm sure you'll have other questions. We have the website. We're going to have additional videos and training sessions in the future to answer questions. And the website is even going to be expanded even more in the next couple of days to have a lot of other different features on it that you can go to. But I wanted to kind of cover the most important aspects of it. So the mission and the vision, why did we do it? Well, to select top-tier master electricians or equivalent and channel partners and provide them a competitive advantage with access to advanced technical training on the National Electrical Code, customizable marketing materials, customizable business tools, and an association with the strength and breadth of corporate support and industry partnership. What does that mean to me? Core. It means that you have the backing. Now, Electrical Code Academy is a corporation here in Texas. But when we say we're looking for partners, we are going to be expanding out the channel partnership, looking for like-minded associations, like-minded companies from the corporate level that want to be a part of this program, that want to be a part of that mission. Now, some people don't realize that many, many years ago, Eaton Cutler Hammer started a program called the ECCN program, Eaton Certified Contractor Network. Now, I was a part of that very first program. I was the one that would travel the country training people on that program. So I have a background in understanding of creation of program, and that program for them has been wildly successful. So it kind of bred into the concepts of what we were trying to achieve with this and giving you the tools to be successful. What else did we want to do as the vision? To develop a nationwide network of certified master electrical code professional members dedicated to elevating the electrical profession by focusing on an enhanced understanding of the National Electrical Code. Look, I have people, there were years ago when I had a website called The Electrical Guru. I took a lot of heat for that, right? A lot of heat. And people said, Paul, you seem to think you're the guru. What they didn't understand is it was my marketing edge. It was different. It was how you market yourself. Nobody's going to remember Paul Abernathy, but at the time, they're going to remember the Electrical Guru. So as we changed in marketing, ways that we do marketing changed over time, it became evident that we were lacking in direction when it came to the industry. And so I said, you know what? How do we do this? How do we elevate this up so that master electricians, and again, it's not going to be for everyone, although it should be, it's not. We're not trying to create a gateway for everybody to get in. For example, 32 CMECP candidates attempted so far this year. Only one has made it through. Okay. Congratulations to Jason, who made it through. It is a rigorous process. It's not unachievable. I like to tell people it's code. But usually one of the stressors that are placed on a program is time management and the ability to have time management. And that can take a toll. We have lives, we have families, things get in the way, but we have a strict timeline that is part of this program. Okay. So, and again, I'll get to some questions. Just keep rolling them in there. I will get to them as I get to that question session of the presentation. But anyway, this is the vision. And I want to remind you that the CMECP program is in no way affiliated or associated with NFPA. So don't let there be any confusion by the use of the NEC or other registered trademarks like that, because they're done in context to understand and make clear of what our focus is of our program. Now, here's where the rubber meets the road. No other program in the world does this. And this is something that's really important because look, master electricians, we already know your qualifications. You've done the hard work. You've put in the hours. You've qualified to sit for your licensure. You got that license. It's an amazing thing and you should be extremely proud of it. Any journeyman out there, any apprentices, you should be looking at the master electrician for the model. However, the role models sometimes leave a little bit less than desired. And that means, who are you looking at to be the next generation? Who are you looking at to be the leaders? So if you own a big company, you really should think about all of your lead electricians as being CMECPs. And I'm going to explain the process. But these are people that are not only going to learn the code, but are also going to understand it, going to be able to participate in events. They're also going to be able to have access to business courses, leadership courses, management courses, marketing courses, all of those things through our program, all right? But let's see what it takes to be a CMECP, really. Step one, every prospective CMECP candidate must submit an application, proof of licensed master electrician status or equivalent, and the application fee. Now, the application fee is going towards the verification process for that licensure, administrative process, and it also is going to cover any proctored exams once you get to that, the recording of that, as well as any of the other expenses that are associated with the initiation of the program. Okay, it's ongoing. Now, that's a one time and that's done. Once you're in the program. So once you get that everything done, you're verified that you meet the criteria. Next, you go on to step 2. Now, I should back up a bit. Step 1 is also a huge step because step 1 validates what you've done in the industry. Look, you're a master electrician or even equivalent. In order to be an equivalent, you have to have put in the time, the sweat, the tears, the labor. You have done it all to get to this point. I do not want anybody out there to demean that. You have put in the work. Why should you be the same as everybody else because of a gateway entry into licensure? Remember, once you become a master electrician, you get that license. That's where the learning begins. Okay? It's up to that point, you put in the time as a journeyman. So we want to understand how we differentiate ourselves. For those that choose to differentiate, not everybody's going to choose it, and I fully understand it. I fully do. But let's assume you made it past the step 1, you meet the criteria, you had the experience, you have the time that you've put in to get to this level in your career. It's you who determine whether or not you want to go to the next level. So what's step 2? Step 2, and again, I understand it's probably hard for folks to see it because it is, fairly small print, but I will read it to you. Step 2, upon acceptance into the CMECP program, the candidate will purchase the core course and will have 6 months to complete the core material. Now, the cost of the core course is based on our Fast Tracks, which is a trademark program, and I will talk about that later. But that doesn't mean that we won't include other courses from other approved educators. Now, as you're going to see, I want you to see later what we mean by approved courses and what it means, because by no means are we trying to make this exclusive to our courses, all right? But we know that our course has validation, has trademarks behind it, it has metrics to measure a student's progress. If you have a course like that and you want to be a part of this program, then we will look at that and review it, because that's what we want, the partners in the program, okay? Every program has to start somewhere. I know this one has to start with me, and I'm hoping that it becomes a legacy more than anything else that I've ever done in my career, is the ability to raise the master electrician to the next level. So you got to go in 6 months. You got to complete 19 units. You got to complete 19 competency reviews. You have to complete 23 exams. We're talking over 1,500 core code related Q&As, questions. And you have to maintain 80% on all of these submissions. If you don't maintain 80%, you're out. You're not going to carry forward. You're not what we want as a CMECP. Failure to complete the material, reviews, and exams in 6-month period doesn't get a reprieve. You don't get a second shot at it, okay? You're out. And it's just the way the program has to be. We only want the best of the best. That's not to scare people away, because it's code. But it's going to enhance your knowledge of code. It's going to bring you more aware of code. It's going to allow you to have discussions about code. And it's going to enhance you. We're going to have forums that are specifically natured to the discussion on the CMECP website. All these things to enrich your knowledge moving forward. Next, let's say you get past 2. And again, this is also, step 2 is big on time management. Again, I encourage you, I will give you names of current CMECPs that have been through the program, not a single negative statement about it, and they're free to make these statements. They've been through the program. Ask them about it. It's taxing, but nothing that was easy wasn't memorable. This is something you'll remember and you'll earn it. And that's the only way we're going to give any weight to this certification. So the next thing you do, you get past step 2, and already we have more steps than any other certification program there is out there. Most of them, you got the requirements, right? You meet the requirements and you go take a test, a proctored test. and then they give you the certification. There's so much more to this. In the room, Joe. Joe's one of our CMECPs. Joe went through the program. There might be other CMECPs in here. Ask them. Time management is key because life gets in the way. And the key to a CMECP is their ability to manage that time well. That's who you want in leadership roles. That's who you want because they know the code. You don't get paid to do things twice. You get paid to do things once. Those are the leaders, and that's what we're trying to generate, the next generation of leaders, while building on the pride of being a master electrician, which is the most satisfying thing I've ever done in my career, is be a master electrician. Despite anything I've got through university, that was always been, when I got that, I knew that the knowledge learning had to start at that point. That was just the gateway. Now, step 3. Upon completion of step 1 and 2, step 3, then you go and you complete the 6-month course, right? Then the candidate will take a recorded and proctored exam of 100 code-specific questions. They must obtain an 80% or higher score to move on to the final stage. Now, let me explain this. Why is it proctored and recorded? Because we make it available to any outside body that wants to validate your participation. It's validable. Not only do we track all of your grades, that's the difference between a course that actually is designed for this. And I'm going to go into that a little later, so please hang with me. Hang with me. We verify it. It allows it to be verifiable. They're recorded sessions, and we keep it saved in our server. And that way we have it. It's all traceable. It's all valid, okay, in the process. There's metrics along the way that you have to meet. Not the less they maintain the score that you have to maintain in some pretty tough units that you're going to have to encounter. Now, you get past that proctored exam. Now, the proctored exam is recorded and it's proctored. You don't get copies of it in advance. You've got 10 minutes from the point that your proctored exam ends to get your answers to us. If you do not get them in within 10 minutes, that's it. You will fail the proctored exam. So you have to be very focused when we set your time up for your proctored exam. Now, you pass the proctored exam, you get the 80% threshold, you move on to the final stage. And I venture to say this stage is like, no, and I am so blessed to have people like Marty and Joe and that can be a part of this, Neil, the people that are involved in the CMECP review board is a blessing, right? It's a blessing that they give of their time to help other people. That's just a testament to what they want to give back to the industry. And I'm just blessed to be associated with all of the CMECPs that are in the program. So that stage, check this out. The candidate has to pass all the stages. Then they get to stage 5, which is the voluntary members of the CMECP review board. And they write their own questions. Each one has to create a question on the National Electrical Code. And they will present it live, and it's recorded with the CMECP candidate. They will ask them point blank. And you got to remember, at this stage, they've done all this work. They're stressed out. They've gotten to the end. So the review board members will ask a point blank question to the candidate. And the candidate will have to answer that question to the satisfaction of the individual on the review board that gave it. Okay? So they get to ask each one asks a question. And it is not written by me or any other administrator of the program. Okay? My goal is after the first of the year to have an executive director to see this vision for me forward so that I can focus on creation. That's what I do. I create things and I educate. So this is so much bigger And we need partners in the industry. We need people that want to get on board with this and understand that it's only as good as it's supported. But at the end of the day, all you have to have is 3 of the 5 answers correctly on the review board in order to finish the process and become a CMECP. Okay, that's the process. Now, let's talk a little bit about licensure, and I'll answer that question, David, here shortly. Let's talk about licensure. So there's a difference between licensing and certification, and there has to be. Professional certification are typically earned through professional organizations and educational institutions like Electrical Code Academy. If you find the credentialing is required by law before practicing your job, like a master electrician license or electrical contractor's license, that's licensure. Licensure is different than professional certification in that, for one, it's required by law. You have to have a license to practice, assurances, and all those other things. So that is usually done through state agency. In many cases, the processes to become certified strongly resemble the process of becoming licensed, often only differing only in the terms of legality. So certification is different than the work that you've done to become licensed. When you become licensed, it's the entry level into the profession. But how do you differentiate yourself? Well, that's when certification comes into play. Certification as a commitment to education. Professional certification is not a replacement for accredited degree work, but instead is supposed to complement your education or professional experience in your field, in your chosen field, as a master electrician. Once you've earned the certification, you are given a designation, in our case, CMECP designation, and you use it after your name as a way to distinguish certified professionals from their uncertified peers. Okay? To keep your certification, the administrating organization will ask for proof that you've obtained the required continuing education periodically, typically 1 to 5 years, depending on the certification, before you're allowed to renew your certification. That's the concept between licensing, which has legalities to it, versus certification, which is promoting your profession and advancement of your profession. What are the benefits to certification? Okay, because you've got to be asking, what's in it for me? Other than the fact I'm going to get more knowledge, I'm going to learn, I'm going to have access to like-minded individuals. We have what's called CMECP perks to take advantage of that are exclusive. You've got educational courses in business management, leadership, marketing, all of those things available to you in our program. But what direct benefits? Well, competitive advantage and marketability. When you have training that your competition doesn't, it sets you apart. Certifications then differentiate you from other professionals in your field. This is why we have certifications. But what do master electricians have? Ask yourself, what do you have that differentiates you right now in this industry that is available to you that's going to test your knowledge? I've been a big believer that electricians have 2 mindsets. There's the physical mindset and there's the mental mindset. For everybody out there that says, I don't worry about the National Electrical Code, I don't care about, that's a problem for me, because they both should walk together hand in hand. You can have the physical. You can be great at bending conduits. You can be great at pulling cable. But do you know why you do it? Do you know why there's rules associated with why we don't bundle, or why there's more than 3 current conductors? Or do you understand why we do this? Now, you might just want to go blind through life and say, I don't care as long as I get a paycheck. Well, that's the problem. At some point, that well runs dry. How do you differentiate yourself? This can give you an advantage, which is particularly important in today's competitive market. Being able to position yourself with a CMECP certification in your marketing efforts will be priceless. And the effort distinguishes you above the traditional licensed master electrician. We're going a little bit bigger. We're thinking a little bit bolder. Life is short. I am always trying to learn something new every day. And if I'm going to learn these new concepts, then I want to put something behind it, right? That's the effort of this program. Grow your knowledge and skill. By expanding your electrical code knowledge, you can hone current work habits that may cause inefficiencies or quality issues with your output while increasing your competencies. If you're on a company's time, you can become the leader. You can become the foreman. They should all be more advanced and have a CMECP certification. Your company should make sure that all of your lead people and everybody underneath should strive to be at that level. The benefit is you can market your people. So, this is to help give you skills and confidence to try something new, such as establishing the groundwork to implement a more sophisticated work environment, professionalism, leadership, management, being that go-to person that knows the code. And you know what? Nobody will have to guess who that is on the project anymore, because you're the one that's going to have the credentials because you put in the time and the effort. Again, this is not going to be for everybody, but the chosen few who understand it will get it. Boost efficiency. Professional certifications can also help you, your independent business and career, a solid foundation. It can give it a solid foundation. The advanced training, information, and knowledge you can gain from specialized coursework can provide you with up-to-date tools and technical strategies that will serve to guide you, direct you in the execution of your projects, allowing you to manage all aspects of your work more efficiently and reduce mistakes in the wrong application of the National Electrical Code. How many of you have seen the horrors of improper installation? We all can make mistakes. But if people learn how to approach it, and that's what CMECPs do, they learn how to approach it analytically and how they can address the issue. And that is what we're trying to do, bring in the mental aspect of it. Hey, with a possible recession looming and trying to stand out above the crowd, increase your earning potential. You are different, so be different. The time and effort invested in professional certification often results in increased income. Most customers, employers understand the higher costs associated with specialized training, are willing to pay for certified professionals who have industry certifications. There is no other program in the world like the CMECP program for master electricians or equivalent. When you stand out, you get paid more. Being professional always pays. I'm going to ask you again. Tell me what other association out there has a program designed to elevate the master electrician. The master electrician, okay? Establish professional credibility. There are increasing numbers of companies, nonprofits, governmental organizations, such as inspection groups, when working with electrical professionals, want or may even require to engage those who have certain certifications from recognized programs. Certifications demonstrates your commitment to superior professionalism, upholding industry standards, and continued learning. These merits can help boost your professional credibility and prestige within your own network, with your current employer, and when pursuing new business opportunities or bidding on projects. How do you stand out? How does your company differentiate itself? Are your leaders in place? Okay. I was just on a project call today where they're doing a big project, and the first thing that the lead engineer said is, how many foremen are going to be on this job? What are their credentials? And it was amazing to me that I was like, that's a perfect thing for a CMECP. Leaders, people that want to aspire to do that, people that want to stand out amongst the crowd. That just hit me today as I was in that meeting listening. As you move forward and as your business evolves, be sure to keep your certifications up to date so you can continue to recognize these benefits. Also, be sure to publicize your certifications on your website, your marketplace profile, your LinkedIn profile. The CMECP marks are protected and very special class of trademark. Now, with that said, I'm going to do a brief overview quickly of the trademarks because I think it's important that you understand what these are, why we did this. First, CMECP. This is a registered trademark. In 2018, after 2 years of working in it, developing it, we submitted for these trademarks. Okay, CMECP and the Certified Master Electrical Professional were awarded to us, and it was awarded to us in not one, but 2 classifications. This is important. I need you to read this to understand what we put into this. It's not something we just thought of the other day. Many people that know me know I've been talking about this for years. Now, you might also be asking, this is 2022. Where's there a gap in there? Well, there was this little thing called COVID, and it totally disrupted everything that we had planned. And so it wasn't until we were able to get our academies and everything so I could focus back on the CMECP program. And that's where we're at. And we're really moving forward with it. And there's a lot of interest in it. But we wanted to talk a little bit about these unique trademarks. Check this one out first. And this applies to all of the not only the CMECP, but also the Certified Master Electrical Code Professional mark. We have a listing under IC 41 US 100, 101, 107. Now, check this out. Check this class out. CNS Educational Services, namely providing advanced vocational training of electricians, namely electrical code professionals, for certification in the field of electrical code. That is, and you can see it right here, that is what our trademarks are about. That's what we submitted, the documentation. That's what our program's about. Okay, this wasn't a fly-by-night concept. We understood what the certification process was going to be and why it was going to be so important to the electrical industry. But wait, that isn't it. Both of these marks also have another very significant criteria, and that was IC 42. Let me read this one. This is so critical to the mission. It says, this mark is for GNS testing. It says, an evaluation of the knowledge. Check this out. Evaluation, folks. Tell me any other association that has this. Okay. Evaluation of the knowledge, skill, and abilities of others in the field of electrical contracting, namely electrical code professionals, to determine conformity with certification standards. This is the trademark. These are both of them right here. They are issued to us, and it is based on our program. Now, one of the things you heard me say was, what can people do to be a part of this courses-wise? What makes a good course? And why we are partnered right now with ECA? Because the course is already been out there. You notice here on the screen, we have the fast tracks. It is, again, a trademark. What's the trademark? It says educational services, namely providing vocational training of electricians in the field of what? Electrical code. Very specific in these marks. And they were done for a reason. Now, what is a good certifying course? In conjunction with our trademarks, we set out to create a course that meets the following criteria to match the mission of our Class 42 trademarks. The certification course must be traceable, provide an internal grading system, incorporates human oversight, and is administered without content bias. It's on the code, flat. We don't teach opinions. We teach the code, the way it's written, okay? You're the professional. You'll learn to have your interpretations. We endeavor to teach the code. But here's the big criteria for anybody that would love to have their course certified through us to be able to offer it in this program is this. Number one, our entire course is held on a third-party server with login and out trace systems in place. These systems can't be altered as they are binding to the applicant's registration. You set it up. It's your username. It's your password. We don't have access to that information. Secondly, the grading system is also held on a third-party server. The grading course submissions are through a remote login portal and not within the CMECP body. In other words, it's not in our possession, okay? It's a third-party course. Next, every course submission for review is conducted by a human being. The submission is not simply yes, no, or multiple choice. That's what makes it tough. Our program is not made up of yes, no, A, B, C, Ds. They require you to answer it. Totally nothing like that's ever been done. How many proctored exams have you done before that's simply A, B, C, D? And then they give you the certification. It's not how it works here. Each question requires input from the candidate and official grading by the course administrator. Lastly, the course must be complete and designed in an effort to meet the mission of Class 42 of the United States Patented Trademark designation given. For example, the only course available that can meet the above criteria right now is the Fast Tracks program. The Fast Track meets all the above criteria, but here again is what Title 42 is. It says evaluation of the knowledge, skills, and abilities of others in the field of electrical contracting, namely electrical code professionals, and this is the most important part, to determine conformity with certification standards. Okay? So in a second, we're going to go back to the questions and be able to answer some of the questions. But look, the CMEC program is set out to grow our mission and vision dedicated to making master electricians elite tradesmen. Okay? We know they can be that. They are more to pulling cable and bending conduit. You have to gain the mental aspect of the trade. Our CMEC program is designed to build on skills already established through hands-on training. You put in the time. You put in those skills. We're just rewarding you for that effort, and we're helping you carry this position to the next level. Okay? However, in a world with no benchmarks beyond entry-level licensure, once you get that license, it doesn't matter whether you've been in the business for 30 years or been in it for 2 days. You hold the same level of licensure when you become a master electrician. We want to take your game quickly, elevate you quickly to the next level. Okay? We do not want to create a generation of TikTokers, Instagrammers, or posters that are proud of their work, but is riddled with electrical code errors. We do not want that, and we do not want to push that forward. That's the whole purpose here. So we want to create what? Excellence. You must stand out among the peers, and the certified master electrical code professional will endeavor to be that benchmark moving forward. So if you want more information, it'll be evolving over the next week, but you want more information on the program, go to cmecp.org. And that is most certainly where you can get any information that you want on it. And we'll be adding more to the equivalency, so you have a better understanding of the equivalency and all that. We will make the presentation on the website available as well here shortly. Once we finished it, we don't want to release it until we finished it. But at the end of the day, hopefully I've answered pretty much most of the questions. So I'm going to go on and go to the portion where I'm going to try to answer some questions. And I don't know if they'll appear on here, but I do have some in the queue that I can go over. And if anybody types one, it should appear. Probably didn't refresh. But let's see here if I've got some questions. Ruben asked, do we have a group here in Houston? We do have a CMECP down there. Kenneth Hengst, who is a CMECP down in that area, I believe. As far as group, everything's done through the corporate office and established here in McKinney, Texas. Not necessarily a group, but we hope to expand to that at some point. So that was one of the questions that was asked. Let's see here. Question was asked, and I believe it was answered. Is Marty Schumacher a CMECP? Absolutely is. Very proud to have Marty on the team. Yes, the Basement King is enrolled in the Fast Tracks CMECP program. I think he did finish the Fast Tracks program. So he is now in the CMECP program and doing well. I think he's on starting unit 7 in his mission. Timer's always ticking. Clock's always ticking on him, but he's there. Let's see here. I think David asked a question about failing. Okay, so when you fail, you have to start from the very beginning. Okay, so wherever you are in the process, you have to start the whole process. So you're out of that. When you're in the program and you fail any step of the program, you obviously have the credentials to get there. but you just failed our program. So you have to start and reapply all over again. And trust me, there's not going to be any judgment on that. We're not going to say, oh, you tried it once you failed. Yeah, it's a fresh start, okay, in the program. Okay, the way our program is designed, it doesn't matter because we're teaching the code. We're teaching the National Electrical Code. And we're teaching it in a way that enhance your existing knowledge. That's what we're doing as far as this program. And we're adding credibility to it, okay? Our trademarks are proven. Go look them up. We're not like some who say they got trademarks. You go look them up. They don't have trademarks. We have trademarks. They're not owned by me. They're owned by the corporation. None of those trademarks are in my name. So you go look at them, and they are there for the use. You've got the lapel pins here. Like I used to tell people, anybody can buy this hat, but you got to earn this lapel pin, okay? So at the end of the day, we're going to be ramping up the marketing material. And most of the stuff that we're going to do with the marketing material is going to be in a marketing area that is going to be free for CMECPs, okay? It's free for them to download, print off, use, however they want to use it. That's a benefit to CMECP members. And that's what we want to make sure that we continually strive to offer. So hopefully that answered that question. Let's see here. David says okay, David, I think I told you on that one that we'll be having the equivalency up there. And I think we do have an equivalency for licensor of equivalent status with, at least at one time we did for the IAEI. And I believe, I think it was pulled down because of a disagreement with the previous leadership of that association, but that since has changed. So I am sure we have no problem. They have no problem. But again, it should be up in the next couple of days. How long is the course? Again, the course is 6 months. You have 6 months to complete it. But I should clarify, because I had to clarify this for Jay too, is that the only 6-month limitation is on the actual course itself, the program, okay? After that, the clock stops. So the proctored exam, because we have to coordinate a time that's convenient for you, and you shouldn't be penalized for that. That's not fair. We will coordinate that time so that it suits both individuals, whether Brittany's is proctoring or Zach is proctoring or whatever. We have to make sure that everybody's got the time to be able to do that. And the 5-on-1, now you can only remember that we have logistics that are involved, and that is 5 CMECPs who volunteer of their free time to be on this review board, plus the candidate who has just gone through 6 months of a crucible to now be put in, and a proctored exam that's recorded, and now they're put in front of 5 of their peers who are going to be asking them questions. And I don't even know what their questions are going to be. So that's one of the processes in it. I like to take my hands out of it. Now, we do have what's called a proxy, which if any one of the members can't make it, they can submit their question and the answer, and I can fill in, or the next executive director can fill in. But at the end of the day, these are very much coming from the CMECP peers in the committee. And they're the ones that are going to be asking it. And so if you think about the steps, what it takes, number 1, you put in the time. You are a master or equivalent. Number 2, you put in the time in the program and you completed it within 6-month period. That clock starts the moment that you register your program. It starts clicking. Ask Jay. He can feel the sweat of the clock ticking. Okay? Ask Joe. Okay? So they're in it. And then you get past that. The clock stops on the 6 months. Now you move into the proctored exam, recorded exam phase. Usually we move pretty quickly in that. And then we move on to the 5-on-1. And you will know the results of the 5-on-1. You'll get a good feeling. I think Joe would probably say, and most of the members would probably say, you'll get a feeling whether or not you've achieved it. This is supposed to be a celebration at this point. 5-on-1. Okay. You've done it. You made it this far. You have elevated your knowledge, or you confirmed what you already know. That's the whole concept of the program. All right. In fact, the program's been around. We've had CMECP since its inception, and I have yet to ever have any of them send out any renewal requirement because of COVID. When COVID hit, we said we're not doing it. Okay. We are simply freezing it and let it grow. Okay. That 5-on-1 is absolutely virtual. It uses Zoom and everything is recorded. Okay. So all of yours are there. It's all recorded. You've got your code book in front of you, open book. I've never been one that believes in people that have exams with aren't open book. Okay. Because the whole process of licensure is you're going to be out in the field. You better have one of these. So the thought of testing somebody without having this just seems idiotic to me. Okay. There's no way you can memorize all of this. It's impossible. Some of us try. We try to memorize it, but it's impossible. So we believe that it's there. You get asked the questions. You take the time it needs to answer it. There is no time limit on the 5-on-1. You take the time you need to answer each CMECP's question. Now, the proctored exam is a timed test. Okay. So you have 2 hours for that. Okay. So you do the math. You have 100 questions. You have 2 hours. You do the math. You're going to need to be proficient in order to get through that. But that's what makes a course what it is. If you could just send away and buy it, what's the point? It means nothing. So in this process, I want it to mean something. You know what I'm saying? That was my vision, to mean something. As Joe says, the moment you think you've memorized something in NEC, here comes 2023, and we change it up again. Absolutely. We shift things around. It just is what it is, right? So I don't want to take too much of everybody's time more than this. So that's pretty much, I'll end the questions there for the most part. I'll come back to me. Look, I'm extremely passionate about this. I think that anybody that don't really understand the concept of what we're doing, you're going to have critics for everything. The problem is they don't really truly see what's trying to be achieved here. This is for the industry. This is trying to elevate the master electrician title. This is trying to elevate the equivalent electrical contractor, giving them the ability to stand out. Be honest with you, I'd love it if all electricians, I'd love it at some point that everybody gets into this type of program, because it says that you put in the effort, you put in the time to be better than just what? The normal, the status quo, the issued license. Again, I've been a master electrician for 20 years. It's the same master license that I had when I got it the day after I took the exam. How do I elevate it? That's what we're here to do. And I'm hoping all of you will join me in that journey. Share it. You've got any questions, go to the website, www.cmecp.org. Feel free to email me any questions you want at info, I-N-F-O, @cmecp.org. Check the website out, bookmark it. We'll be adding new things here in the next couple days. And they'll usually be under drop downs, so they'll be underneath your navigation header. Just look for those drop downs. You'll see things on equivalency. You'll see all those, and all new equivalencies are being released this week. So we just wanted to kind of give you a little bit of insight on what's coming in the program, and hope that you get something out of it, and hopefully you'll join us for that journey. So all you master electricians or equivalent out there, God bless you, appreciate you. And hopefully you will join us on that mission as we embark to make the electrical trade even better. Till next time, folks, stay safe and God bless.